Hello, welcome back to the sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Washington, D.C. I'm Nick Miller alongside Joey Page. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
I was told that there was a Temur Ascendancy deck running around.
Indeed, there is.
A Temur Ascendancy combo deck running around.
Not only is it Temur, but it's also a combo, and let me tell you how much fun it has been to play in this standard tournament. It has been a blast. So basically what we're looking at here is a Devotion deck from the old format revived, but made a combo deck. So in this case, there's a few different ways you can start comboing or...
Yeah, let me break down the pieces here for the people at home.
Right,
Then you're going to go into the crazy iterations this deck does.
So I get so excited, you know.
Yes. No, it's fine. We want to be excited here because nobody saw this coming. Somebody said there was a Temur Ascendancy combo deck running around and said, oh, you mean Jeskai Ascendancy.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It is not. So let's look at the pieces here.
Right.
You've got a bunch of like green Devotion stuff that you see normally. You've got Eidolon of Blossoms, Corsair Crewfix, Nykthos Engine, you've got the Sylvan Caryatid, Voyaging Satyr, all of the mana. Then you get the crazy stuff. You've got the Karametra's Acolyte.
Yeah.
You've got Singing Bellstrike in here, which you'll explain.
3 copies.
Temur Sabertooth, Temur Ascendancy, and then some cool payoff cards like Pelucranos and Nylea, as well as Genesis Hydra.
Indeed.
Now explain what this deck is doing and what you're trying to do with it.
All right, so the biggest thing is I've played mono green for a while, and a lot of times when you get to a board state, you can't go over your opponent. Your creatures are big, cool, great game state, whatever. The biggest thing is Hornet Queen was the huge part where it would shift the game, but I wanted something to just win the game.
Right.
So in this case, since we're already a Devotion deck, I figured why not go the extra mile and try and combo. And so the big thing, when I play against my opponents, they're like, what's even happening? Is there steam coming out of my ear? Like, you're picking up things, you're putting it down, I don't know. So the breakdown of the deck, essentially, you've got your mana producers, and then you've got your ways to go infinite. So your mana producers are going to be cards like Voyaging Satyr paired with Nykthos, and then your Karametra's Acolyte, which... So they're based on Devotion, both Nykthos and the Acolyte. So your goal here, the magic number is 7. You want 7 mana, and I'll get into why later. And the other half is going to be cards like Singing Bellstrike, as well as the Temur Sabertooth. So Temur Sabertooth, new card, it's awesome. Lets you bounce guys to your hand for 1 and a green, and he's indestructible. Honestly, indestructible's not that relevant. Picking up your guys is huge. So in addition to multiple ways to combo off, we've got Temur Ascendancy here, which allows our guys to enter with haste. And that turns your Nykthos Tappers, the Acolyte and the Voyaging Satyr, into almost like seething songs of sorts. And so you play it, you generate extra mana, you use the Sabertooth to return it to your hand to replay it, which is why you need 7. Because for the Acolyte, you need 2 to return it with Sabertooth, and then you need 4 to play it, because that's its mana cost, and then you tap it, because it has haste with the Ascendancy out, and generate 7, bounce
now
it.
You're netting mana.
And indeed, you start netting mana, and it's the same concept of Voyaging Satyr, because when I play it for 2 mana, I can untap my Nykthos, tap Nykthos for 2 mana, and then bounce it back and do the whole thing again. And the math works out the same way as the Acolyte. So
in game, you start generating the mana after you have this crazy amount of Devotion.
Indeed. Once I have a few permanents on board, I start going crazy, and I just pick up permanents, put them back down. I can get infinite mana. Genesis Hydra searches for anything in the deck at that point. So I have this 1 copy of Nylea tucked away down here, and oftentimes that's what breaks the game, because even if they have a board state, she gives trample, I have infinite mana.
Yeah,
that was
the main question. I'm like, okay, so you're generating infinite mana, but what are you doing with the mana? And that's where you bring in Genesis Hydra, which allows you to basically just get as many creatures as you'd like. They have haste if you have the Ascendancy, and you can make them as big as you want with Nylea.
Essentially, yeah. And so, the Sabertooth really pulls that together, because he's allowing you to pick up the Genesis Hydra and replay it, which not only lets you play the fair game, but also the unfair game, as we can see,
Right, and as you brought up to me, the Temur Ascendancy also good in just a value-oriented game along with the Eidolon of Blossom, so you can draw cards, you're attacking, you can play Genesis Hydra, go into an Ascendancy, draw the card, and have haste.
It's super fun to do that, because you don't have anything on board, and they think they're safe, or they have a Planeswalker at 4, you play the Hydra for 4, get the Ascendancy, draw a card, it has haste, you go in there and you kill the Planeswalker, you feel great. I mean, it's super fun to do.
The things you were doing with this deck, when did you come up with the idea? Did you just see the Sabertooth and it kind of click, or what happened?
I saw the Sabertooth, I played a game of Limited with it, and it was really powerful, but to be quite frank, I went to MTG-salvation.com, and I found the deck there. It wasn't exactly this, but it was close, and I figured, wow, what a great concept, let me see what I can do with it. And this is where we are.
All right, so you're 5-1 so far.
Currently, I just lost to Temur.
Just lost to a Temur deck, not running Ascendancy.
Not running Ascendancy. My friend Chad Hilton from Richmond, he is running a very, very aggressive deck, and I thought he was going to bring in flyers, but he didn't. Anywho.
That's right. The deck is sweet.
Yes.
Also, forgotten in the whole mix, when you're creating a bunch of mana, you can use Pelucranos to fight and just kill everything if you need.
Whole field. And I think one card we left off was Singing Bellstrike. That's another infinite enabler, because once you're generating more than 7 mana again, 7 or more, you can put the Singing Bellstrike on one of your creatures and allow it to untap for 6 mana. I mean, that's what the card reads as, but nobody plays it because I mean, it's not good. Your opponent can untap your creature, but what if you can untap your creature, you know?
So your deck's all gas, you don't really have a lot of interaction with your opponent. Singing Bellstrike allows you to have a minimal amount.
Exactly, yeah, just a pinch, you know, like oftentimes when you're playing against these Jeskai decks, or even the 3-color mid-range decks, they're gonna have one threat at a time.
Right.
And if you can pacify that one threat when they're playing the removal, you're not as worried. And you know, the thing is once you have the Ascendancy out, as you said, you're replacing all your big cards.
Right.
And that is so huge, you know.
Well, it's awesome how you got it all. Like, all the pieces work together.
They come all together, you know?
You've got the Devotion Shell, so, you know, no just extra parts lying around.
Right.
Sideboard, I was wondering how this deck deals with the aggro matchups. You've got Nylea's Disciple, kind of the card everyone goes to in Green Devotion to gain a bunch of life. Let's talk about some of your other cards. You've got a bunch of Kioras here. Where are these guys coming in? Along with a couple Nisses.
So, you know, when I play the game, and I like to go above everybody, with this deck especially, I just want to combo off, so I have cards in my deck that allow me to build Devotion and slow my opponent down. So whether it's a Nylea's Disciple to buy time, a Kiora to tap down there again, one thread at a time. You know, we have Singing Bellstrike that does that, but I want another card that does that every turn. Not to mention, when you go off, -1 is perfect because you get to play another Nykthos.
Wow,
That was huge for me, one of my matches. Rolling on down the sideboard, we've got 2 copies of Citizen Tactics and 2 copies of Hunt the Hunter. Originally for Hunt the Hunter, but what I felt like was not everybody's running Abzan aggro.
Right. And Citizen Tactics, very good for just cleaning the board. We saw it in the last standard format. Comes in with green-white. You could clear the blue decks. You know?
Absolutely, yeah. Kill their Master Waves, etc. But it's still good in here because in the mirrors, all that matters is Devotion. So, you know, it's perfect with Hunt the Hunter.
Reclamation Sage is the last couple cards?
Yes, so Reclamation Sage is just the giveaway for all the whip decks. To be honest, I'm not that afraid of whip, but I'm afraid of them doing continually unfair things rather than just for a few turns. And the Nisses are my concession to the really, really big control decks in the format. Blue-black control, you know, you get a 4/4, they're going to have a hard time dealing with. Even Ujin can't kill it, you know? So perfect time for Nissa, in my opinion.
Yeah, this deck looks a little soft to the board sweepers.
Absolutely.
So the Planeswalkers come in, allow you to tighten that up a little bit.
Absolutely.
All right, Joey. Well, this deck looks awesome.
It is.
I can't wait to get you in the feature match area. Hopefully get you on camera a little bit. We want to see this deck in action. Thanks for sitting down with me in the sideboard. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Washington, D.C.